stand.
Well, hi there. You're listening to Home Wizards. I'm Cindy Dole.
I'm Eric Stromer.
And we'd love to improve your home and improve your life. And it is, after all, summertime. And you think about splashing in a pool. Maybe you have a pool.
I just did it yesterday.
You just
in
were
my own
splashing
pool.
around, yeah?
I never turn the heat on, so it's got to be a specifically pretty hot day. Otherwise, I had the heat on when I first bought the house.
Oh, yeah.
Bill came, it was like, $300 for the month. I was like, what?
Right. So what about if you've been dreaming of having a swimming pool?
Yeah.
Or maybe you want to change your existing pool in terms of the type. Didn't you recently swim in a pool that was what, salt? Was it salt
this
water?
This experience was like a spa. It was like, heaven water.
What kind of water was it?
It's just a saltwater pool, and instead of using the old traditional chlorine filter and dumping the chemicals in the pool, the saltwater pool creates chlorine using salt. Mm-hmm. And it's just a more gentle version of the same thing, but it doesn't damage your hair. You don't get the green hair if you're a kid all summer in the pool. It makes your skin feel like you've just put moisturizer on. And the best thing, you can open your eyes in the water and it doesn't burn your eyes. So you just don't get any of that same traditional thing that occurs with chlorine.
Well, lots to consider.
Yeah, and it's a relatively easy upgrade if you're going from one system to another. So
let's talk about Pool 101. Because a lot of times you hear that pools may not necessarily be a good investment for your home.
I'll tell you, if I were to do it over again, I don't think I would buy a house with a pool.
Yeah,
you'd
want more space.
It's a ton of work.
It's a lot of work.
It's a ton of work.
But guess what? Because of the economy, it turns out that prices have fallen by 30%.
Really?
So, if you've been dreaming of having that family experience of floating in the pool, maybe you have a dog that would love to jump in the pool.
My dog does that as well. Yep.
You have, you want to have a pool party, all that stuff. It's kind of fun. There's a fantasy. I mean, we have a pool. It's great. And maybe it's for you, but think about it. If you've been dreaming about it, it may be the time to, pardon the pun, take the plunge because of the discount. So now, some things to consider: the size and shape, the budget. What kind of area do you have? The design wishes. Do you want to have a swim spa as well as a pool, a floating pool, right?
Even the lap pools that you can buy where we've got just a one-lane pool.
You like to do your laps?
I love to do my laps, yeah.
So maybe you would have preferred, maybe you could change it.
I think I would much rather have that.
Almost like an Olympic pool.
I can't do it now, though. My pool was built in the 50s, I think, and it's one of these huge, like old school, super deep pools, right?
Yeah.
But I need to replace the decking on it because it's cracking.
Okay.
I'm telling you, don't forget to consider in your budget when you're pricing out installing something new.
Yeah.
You're probably going to want to have a pool person come and service it because it's a nightmare. It's like a chemistry experiment.
It totally is. And even you who knows so much about it, you've had some hiccups.
I wake up and it's lime green after a bunch of kids have been in it for a summer day.
Yeah. And so how about us when we moved into our home? Our pool that we thought was in great condition was actually had algae in the
grout
in the gunite.
Oh, in the gunite, yeah.
And but it had been painted over. They painted using pool paint, kind of a beautiful cobalt blue, so it made the water look really great.
Sure.
But then within a couple years, all of a sudden we started seeing these little black dots.
Yeah.
They had painted over
those
the algae.
Little people.
So our only solution was to pulverize the whole thing and change the whole surface. And so we opted for something called Pebble Tech.
I know it well.
And I love it. It
looks like a resort.
Well, it not only does it feel great on your feet.
Yeah.
It isn't scratchy. It just gives you a little bit of a grip so that you aren't slipping and sliding as much because, other kinds of those gunite surfaces.
Yeah, the smooth plaster.
Yeah, you can lose your footing, right? Whereas this, you can kind of hold your place. Everything's fine. But they have different colors and textures, so it looks like it could be, like a sand finish. Or ours is kind of a mixture of gray and black and little blue pebbles. And so it looks kind of like almost like you're in the forest. It almost looks like a lake
Like you're in
color.
a pond, woodland pond.
Exactly. So
and by the way, the darker color is great for a pool because the heat from the sun absorbs the sun's rays and it keeps it warmer.
And the best part about this is that it never gets algae. It's like I can't believe it. So some of the things to keep in mind, not just how it's going to look and feel, but then what it's going to take to keep it looking like that over the long run.
Yeah, the maintenance is the thing, obviously. And that does hide a myriad of sins. It's a great way to go.
Yeah. And some pools now are using kind of a mixture of cement and sand, too.
Right.
as your surface.
Sure, which gives you a slight rough surface.
Yeah.
Also, again, it hides some of the problems that you usually see that happen with traditional pools.
So what do you think the cost of pools are right now? Roughly, what, around 30 grand?
30, I think
up,
30
right?
and up, yeah. And it depends how big, how deep, how wide. And also, before you get into the whole pool idea, make sure that you go to your Department of Building and Safety, because there are some hard and fast rules about the shape, size, and depth of pools.
And fencing, maybe.
Fencing is imperative. You're not allowed to have a pool without it if you have kids.
Or
Even
gate,
if you do a home transaction, if you don't have a pool fence, you're going to have to get one before you sell the house. So make sure you check all that out.
And all the different like electrical costs too. I mean, because the pool pump. Although, by the way, the new pool pumps are like a third of the cost.
And way more efficient.
We just got one of those, traded out our pump, and it's quiet. You can hardly even hear it.
Hold on, listen. You see, you can't hear anything.
And so it's basically like the dual flush toilet. It's like the dual pump. So like only a part of the day it's on, it's a little faster. It isn't making that noise, but it's more of an aggravated, almost like a spa.
Right.
Churning the water around to circulate it. And then the bulk of the day, it's just kind of a soft.
It's resting on its laurels.
Mixing gently. It's just kind of on like the blender is just on low.
Yeah.
It's not on major
creating
aggravation.
a lovely warm soup for you to bathe in.
Yeah. So, I mean, those are some things to consider, but how about will it add value to your home? Well, in general, it's not the best, but you can probably, do other things that might add more value. However, it can add to your home in some cases, like if you live in a higher end neighborhood or where most neighbors have pools, it might actually be better. Or if you live in a warm climate, or if your lot is big enough to accommodate your pool and still have enough yard, those are things that might, add a little more something to your home.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's not going to take away from the home, but if you're doing it with the idea that it's going to add value, like a brand new kitchen or master bath is going to add value, it's not. It's definitely a thing you want to do just because you want to have a pool.
Now, do you have a guy or gal who vacuums your pool, or do you vacuum?
No, I have a guy who comes, and then I also amend it because there's a lot of trees around the pool that blow. When the wind blows, the leaves go in, and that's when it changes the chemistry of the water. It's the organic material that really can rapidly make that happen. So you have to have. I have one of those little pool vacuums that goes
like
constantly,
a
little robot. Then I have the lovely pool gentleman that comes and helps me on Fridays, and then I am in there with the net, and then I try and get the filthy teenagers to do something, but they're like, whatever. And
Come on, it's summer.
Come on, get in. Don't you want to swim?
Yeah.
Not really. I'd rather stay in and play video games.
Oh, jeez.
When I have to drag them kicking and screaming, throw them in the water.
It's summer allowance time. Hello.
That's right.
Come on.
That's it.
I mean, doesn't Wyatt want to someday get to drive a car?
Wyatt is playing rugby now, so he just wants me to drive him to practice.
Okay.
That's what I do.
Well, come on.
Well,
you gotta.
And then after he plays rugby, he jumps in the pool, and then he doesn't help clean it up. But I love him to death. God bless him.
Yeah. How about the insurance policy? I mean, a basic homeowner's insurance policy typically covers a pool structure without requiring a separate rider, but you probably are going to need to increase your liability from the standard amount.
That's right. Yeah, because I just changed my home insurance policy. And the guy was like, "Do you have shingle roof? Yeah. Do you have Do you have an alarm system? Oh, great. And do you have a pool? Yeah. Oh. Oh, really? Even a hot tub, same thing. Oh,
it's going to bump up your coverage a little bit, right?
Yes,
maybe $30-$50 a year.
Yeah.
And in some instances, adding a pool may increase your annual property taxes.
I would imagine it would. Yeah.
So for that reason, you try to keep your total building costs between 10 to 15% of what you paid for your house.
And don't forget, the electrical costs for a pool can run somewhere between $1,000 and $3,000 a year if you're constantly.
Especially if the pumps are the old-fashioned pump. You got to get that newer dual pump. And now back to the salt water versus chlorine versus natural. So now here's the thing.
Yeah.
There's a lot of benefits to using salt water, and you talked about some of it. Felt better. Your hair was great.
Like a spa.
Right?
Look at my hair.
Beautiful.
I was in a pool like this yesterday. Look at
Fluffy.
me.
Your skin, amazing.
Dewy.
But guess what? There are also some drawbacks. First of all, know that a saltwater pool is also a chlorine pool.
Yeah.
It's just simply
it's just
different.
a more mild version of
It's a way that the chlorine is delivered.
That's correct.
It isn't like you're sitting in the ocean.
No.
There's no, jellyfish.
No.
There's no whales.
You can't float like the Dead Sea on it.
No.
No.
But, with a saltwater pool, the salt water creates its own chlorine. It makes liquid or tablet chlorine delivery unnecessary, and
Sure.
it eliminates the need to add the chlorine. Great. But going saltwater can save you money over time,
Yep.
since the need to adding the chlorine throughout the season isn't there.
Yeah. Now, don't forget, if you are amending your pool from an old traditional copper or galvanized pipe system to saltwater, it'll eat those pipes up.
I know.
So you have to have PVC
So
installed.
that's
another
so
cost.
changing that over from chlorine to salt water, it's
Yeah.
going to cost you a couple grand.
Couple
at least.
grand,
So
but
upfront,
it may be worth it to
You're
you to
saving,
feel
yeah.
like fluffy hair guy.
I know. Well, anyway, some ideas to keep in mind. You're listening to Home Wizards, Eric Stromer, Cindy Dole. And be sure to go to our website when you're not listening to us now at yourhomewizards.com.
I'm just moving on. What a trip.
Welcome back. You're listening to Home Wizards, where we love to just make you feel good about where you live. And if you don't feel good, it can be easy, by just doing little things.
Just try a little something. That's all we ask.
That's
Just
Eric
try a little
Stromer.
something. Hey, guys.
And I'm Cindy Dole, and you probably, as you're thinking of spending more time outside, it's that time of year. You might have other things, like on your deck, you have things. There's supplies, and there's toys, and there's
right.
things that you want to kind of store.
They've become functional storage seating situations.
So how about coming up with some really smart solutions so that when you are on your deck, you're on your patio, you don't feel like you're claustrophobic because you have all these things all around you. You can feel like it's clean, it's tidy, things are tucked away.
That's it.
So how about a coffee table that also is a cooler in one? So whether, let's say, you have a wood deck or a brick patio or a wraparound porch, here's an idea. It's basically a way of turning, let's say, even a carved limestone in a way to kind of give you a coffee table that now will double as a handy drinks cooler.
That's kind of cool. You could also frame that out of concrete or use some kind of a water-resistant container as the base of the table. Or even a wood table that you put a cooler in that's holds water when the ice starts to melt, and then you just slide the top away.
Yeah.
Guess what? Voila! Cold beer, cold soda, guacamole,
Isn't
whatever
that
you
neat?
can think of. It's in the table right there. It's a genius thing.
It's really kind of neat.
Yes.
I've even seen like a vintage clawfoot bathtub be turned into a really neat cooler.
I had a vintage clawfoot tub as a little planter in my
Oh, did you?
place I used to go in Wisconsin. It was glorious.
Very cute.
Even toilets I've seen as
See?
planters. Yeah.
How about in terms of more storage for your outdoor space? If you are a gardening fanatic like Eric and I, there's never enough space for all of your little tools and your pots and things, your project ideas. How about turning a little cubby, and now into storage that becomes your outdoor little garden center?
See, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
You can have your garden books out there, your garden tools. You can have your shoes, the little knee pad
clogs.
protector that I love. I put that down when
Yeah.
I'm kneeling down.
A watering can.
Because I have tender little knees
Well,
from all the years of tile setting.
Between that and your hooves.
I know. Poor me. I'm like
Aw.
a broken doe.
Oh,
I know.
You're not broken. You're just
No,
very gentle.
Just walk a little slower.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the wings are keeping you going.
Thank you. That's right.
How about turning a serving cart into now instant storage for your barbecuing? Right?
Oh, that's a great idea.
One of those serving carts on wheels, but now it has cabinets and drawers, and guess what? You can tuck things away. Your tongs and your things.
Yes, the tools, the grilling tools are essential to keep protected and clean. And if they're not in a closed cabinet, they're going to get funky from just being outside. So it's a nice idea.
Especially if you have one of these cabinets, you can buy one of these wooden cabinet, almost like little mini islands on wheels.
Yeah.
But what if you were to add like a stainless steel counter on top of it?
Well, then you could carve
Yes.
meats when you pull them off the grill, and
clean it.
It's an outdoor cleaning and utility station.
It's
right there.
sanitary.
Yes,
Hello.
it is.
What about ottomans? I love these ottomans, and they sell these everywhere from Target to you name it. The ottoman that now has a lid, and inside
That's
is a
where your
little,
towels are for the pool.
or
we
pillows.
just talked about. Or
there
pillows.
you go.
Yeah.
Right, and then
Play toys.
And then some of them now, you can flip it over. So like the ottoman has like this lid with a little pillow on top for you to put your feet up, because
Yep.
we love to put our feet up.
Can't not do
But
it.
you can also flip it over and it becomes a tray. Some of them now it's like a little,
You game board devil.
it could be a game
Is
board.
that what you're telling
or
me?
like put like little sodas or whatever.
You're doing it again, aren't
It's
you?
multi-purpose.
Yep.
It becomes seating, it's storage. So you're
everything.
thinking about that, especially if you have small space or a bench.
Yeah.
The bench that now, maybe you can help us figure this out. We have a bench, but we want it to have a lid. lid.
Sure.
Because now we can put our garden
A
hoses.
little something called an old piano hinge, which they sell at all the big box stores. Easy to install. Lots of little tiny screws. Gives you the ability to open and close any kind of a lid. Now, caveat. If you are with small kids and you've got one of these benches that has the door
it's
that
going to
opens
hurt your
and closes,
fingers.
not only that, it can fall on a kid's head. So you want to have, there's a thing that keeps those lids from falling, and it kind of is a slow motion close device. So make sure you install that, or have the ability in one of these bench seats to lock it so a kid can't open it and get in there and close it.
So like one of those little eye hook things?
You could do that. Yeah, you could do that, or a closed latch system that is in cabinetry. But that's all it needs. But something to protect from the kids.
Good point.
But great thing to have, especially if you have garden hoses that you need to tuck away. A bench that you can open up and put all your, again, your hose, your pool supplies. That's what I use mine for.
Yeah.
Those crazy noodles, that the kids float on. I got to put them somewhere so that works well.
Or you might have a lot of extra cushions or outdoor blankets. I mean, anything, you name it, whatever you have for your outdoor living experience. It's a good way to keep it protected from dirt.
Works great.
And it looks clean. And if you're also overwhelmed, getting back to gardening, you could turn anything into a nice little potting bench extension integrated with a shelf, and then fill the shelf with the baskets that coordinate. And now you can, depending on what it is, have all your things of like stuff.
That's it. And
together.
Please don't ignore the idea that your fence that divides your property from your neighbor or your own house can become the backsplash for a potting bench situation. You can hang shelving on it. You can adorn it with decorative things. It's
barbecue supplies.
Barbecue supplies is a great functional space that people don't often remember to use.
Yeah, it's just like it's a nice wall that now, and it's built in with areas to hook things onto, right?
Yeah, and just you can screw right into your siding, and if you're worried about water getting through, go ahead and put a bead of silicone caulk around each eye hook or fastener that you put on the side, and it's going to work just fine.
How about a mini shed? There's so many cute shed kits out there, and if you're handy, turning a little area, a side yard, into now an instant little a miniature storage bin, if you will, for all of your outdoor needs, from your supplies to your gardening stuff to whatever.
That's it. And mini sheds come in you can assemble them, and they'll send them to you in a crate, or you can buy them from any kind of a big box store. But they're great things to have if you have garden tools that are usually just sitting out in the middle of the yard. It's a great place to keep things organized.
Yep. I love the idea. Or how about turning some all-weather shelving, or creating an all-weather shelving unit that's all about the outside, that it's inspired by kind of different pavement designs, where you're putting these different cubicles, one after the next, on top of each other, and now you can tuck in towels or firewood, or even put plants in the little holes in the buckets.
Yeah, and the good idea about that is that it's impervious to weather conditions because it's concrete. And generally these things are effective and efficient, and they look great, and they can be rained or snowed on all the time, and it's not going to hurt them whatsoever.
Or what about getting one of these deck boxes that are pre-made, you can buy anywhere at the store, and they are often on wheels. It's basically this cube. Usually it's made out of wood, sometimes it's out of plastic, and it has a lid that opens up and closes, and then now it's instant storage, right?
That's
you can
it.
turn it into a serving station, or just place to put your pillows and toys, whatever.
That's exactly right. And then also, again, any kind of polyethylene wicker, which is, I think, a really nice trend right now that you're seeing in not only seat cushions and, chairs for outdoor living, but also deck boxes and storage solutions. So those work very well. They're great, too, because a lot of times they're plastic.
Mm-hmm. So you can hose it down.
They're supposed to look like wicker, but they're plastic, and they're very easy to clean, and they'll never break down from being outside.
So very durable throughout the weather, no matter what the weather is, right? It probably won't fade either.
And they're made of wicker. Fake wicker.
Really, really attractive. And the best part is now you have all this storage. You get to buy more stuff.
Stop it.
Yeah. So before we go, I have a quick question. We got an email from Brett, who is following us on Facebook, and he has a question for you. He removed the drop ceiling in his kitchen and found the 80-year-old plastic ceiling has holes. It's a different thickness than the modern...
a plaster ceiling?
Well, it's a different thickness than the modern drywall, so it can't patch smoothly. Should he take out the whole ceiling and replace it, or just cover it all with new drywall?
Cover it all with new drywall.
You think so?
Yeah, if you take the whole thing out, it's so much work and mess. And a lot of the old plasters have sometimes asbestos fibers in them. So short of bringing in a guy or gal that does the, the abatement for that kind of stuff, I think it's just easier to encapsulate it in brand new thin drywall. You could even use 1/4 inch. It'll look perfectly smooth and flat. Done. End of story. Much simpler.
Got it. Thank you, Eric Stromer.
You're welcome.
Thank you for hanging out with us. Remember, just go to our website, yourhomewizards.com, and say hi, would you? And until next time, remember this. The key is under the mat. Bye-bye.
I'll light the fire while you place the flowers in the vase that you bought.